Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Listen Up. And today we're joined by Federico Bertele. Nice to meet you, man.
What's up, man?
Thanks for taking the time. We managed to do all our setup, and me, I literally put two fake trees just to be sure I have something that
That
looks
looks
like.
good.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good as the console that you have behind, so I'm a bit jealous, I have to say, but it looks nice. And
Yeah,
by the
nothing
way,
too special, man. But I thought I'd spice it up a little bit for you.
it actually looks pretty cool. I appreciate. Um, as 99% of the people that I have on this podcast since I started, we basically met on Instagram. And I think the best would be like for you to introduce yourself, and because we already chatted a little bit, but just for people to know who you are, why you're in music, and what you have going on basically in your life, and where you're based, because it's interesting.
Sure. Yeah. So I think I saw one of your reels, and then I messaged you, and said you had some really good stuff to say. I really like what you're doing. So I'm based in Miami. I have a recording studio, Studio 79. You're inside right now, and started there 5 6 years ago. Wanted to get into music. Wasn't really sure how. I don't really have much musical ability, but I've always had a strong connection, like most people. Um, and just trying to figure out where I can fit. And so the studio was the first, you know, good way to get my foot in the door. And then I was always fighting to try to be a music manager, trying to get artists, trying to figure out and learn as much as possible before I threw myself in there. Did a little school at NYU Tisch, just a small certificate, but learned a little bit there and learning off some people that have done more than me. I haven't done much yet, but I have a band signed, Rocks Revolt, and a country artist, Dallas Jacobus in Nashville. The band's here in South Florida, and we're just chipping away, making music, dropping singles, trying to get that one spark that can propel us to the next level. And it's really you can do as much as you want with marketing and visuals, but it's about finding the song, and that's what we're doing here. You gotta find that one song that transcends, or you're not going to be able to put people in stadiums, bars, venues, whatever. So it's about kind of related to buying lottery tickets, because it is that difficult. Like, it's everybody's dream to want to be a musician, an athlete, and it only happens through hard work. And I say this all the time to my artist: is hard work beats talent every time. And it's tough because this modern music marketing is all in front of the camera, Instagram stuff, and artists don't really like that. This generation of artists all grew up, at least my artists are middle 20s, late 20s. It was still like music was still, you sign a record label, you shoot a music video, you go tour. You didn't have to do any of this social media stuff. So it's hard to get them to wrap their head around that. And that's kind of my job. And yeah, man, just trying to make it in developing artists, which is something the major labels just don't do anymore. And it's kind of fallen on the shoulders of our independent labels. So shout out to my independent label family, Archive Records. I don't
Yeah.
know, you can't really see it, right? But a little plug.
Yeah, no, no, you're man. That's perfect because you touched on most of the topics that I actually love talking about. So, to take a step back for a second, like what I found out about you is that you have Studio 79, which is where you can record music and so on in Miami. You have your independent record label called Archived Records, right? And then we found something
Correct.
about Breaker Music.
Yeah, it's kind of an affiliate where
Okay,
we do offer like some consultation and just help with marketing to artists that maybe um, don't fit Archive Records, but we still want to help
get
people
it,
out if they need it.
get
So I
it.
started Archive Records because I wanted that to represent my artists and the music I put out, um,
Mainly
and
rock,
differentiate it from just the service.
rock music mainly, right?
No, man.
No.
it's cliche, but I love everything. I really like electronic. Rock is maybe my favorite genre. Country music. I grew up in. I was born in Italy, but I grew up in Daytona Beach, so it's Florida isn't really the South South, but it's the South, and so I have a lot of friends and grew up a good amount on country music as well. And really anything. I love hip hop too. I don't really understand where hip hop is going right now. So I kind of don't want to get into that because the music just doesn't feel the same to me as it did, in the mid 2000s, even up till like 2016. I feel like hip hop went in a weird direction that I just don't understand. But I'm always keeping my eyes open for artists that I think have potential, and it's really about do I like the music you're making, because that's going to be a representation of me. I don't really care if there's this really great pop singer. If I don't like the music, I don't want to put in my effort and time. Even if I see potential, I have to be proud of the music coming out. And a lot of times I let my artists kind of, we're in the developmental stages, so they have to like, find their direction as well. So you can't be too on top of them, but there's certain situations where you have to kind of step in, and it's not about doing what's right, it's about doing what I feel. It's Music is instinctual. It's There's no like right or wrong answer to music marketing, to music production. Music, theory, you can break that down more to a science, sure, but you got to let your artists be artists, and finding that balance,
That
showcasing your personality with good music.
that makes sense. What you were saying at the beginning about marketing also echoes a lot, because already music is something that a lot of people want to do, right? Because you're shining and because that's something that is extremely popular. So the competition pool is already massive. But nowadays, to be able to have that spark, as you called it, or to sustain it, you also have to be on socials. And the issue is that the competition pool is even bigger, because now you have literally everyone with a cell phone that is actually competing with you to push content out there, because what you put on socials is content, which is really interesting for me, because content is supposed to be a category, and then indeed you could put, like, I don't know, video, music, whatever you want to put it. But the way it's described online, when people talk about content creators, most of the time it's user generated content, aka videos that are homemade or actually very professionally made. And that means that as an artist, when you go on these platforms, you're competing against the release of a movie, you're competing against the new Range Rover marketing campaign, and a
Right.
comedian out there making jokes. So you're right. And now you have also the Hawk Tour girl, right? So you really have so many angles, that everything is about content, which means that the place that you market yourself is actually not the one you should, because normally the most efficient way to market yourself is in a specific niche. And socials became kind of like that kind of cave where everything is supposed to happen. And I agree with you, like the A&R department or a lot of big record labels at the minute, or maybe over the last like few years, kind of like lost their way of like, you should post more or you should do more TikToks, and just like, yeah, okay, but that's not very efficient, isn't it? Because you're just like throwing stuff to the wall and waiting for it to basically stick.
Yeah, but what else are we doing? Like, so social media is also like, it's giving more opportunities to independent. It is a crazy jungle out there,
Hmm.
but if I'll tell artists, okay, you don't want to post a reel, what are we doing instead? And usually there isn't something that can just garner you at least, reel, at least you're gonna get 1,000 to 10,000 views at a smaller level. It's like 1,000 people is a large group of audience when you take back. If you were to look at 1,000 people in an auditorium, you know, you'd be like, holy crap, it's a lot of people.
I the
Right?
way, yeah, the way I talk about it all the time is that it depends what the KPI means, right? If you just base everything on the amount of followers, it actually means nothing, because maybe someone saw one of your viral video where actually, yeah, I don't know, you just make a joke and they didn't follow you because you make music. And so the amount of followers that you have is actually relevant to the target that you're trying to aim at on socials. And so it's fun because I see so many different strategies out there, but some labels are going back to paid marketing, and they don't even care about. I mean, no one follows the amount of streams that you have on music platforms, right? People actually like the amount of followers because there was a call to action. Someone actually clicked like, I like that person. For music platforms, for socials, it's already more vague because people are gonna like or follow very quickly. It's not a call to action that is as important as it would be on a dedicated music platform. So now I see people starting to like to have to run paid ads because they know that it's going to be for music lovers, right? And so you would have two accounts with 10,000 followers each, but one of them will, the ratio of music fans is actually way higher. And this is what a lot of artists that I'm talking to, they're trying to tell me that they struggle with conveying this to labels. How did it work for you? Like, if we take a step back, like from the moment that you found the bands that you are now that you signed or that you're managing, to now that you're doing A&R for them, like how did this journey happen? If you take one of these bands, for example, as an yeah.
Also, let's use my country artist Dallas. Uh, you know, it, until you have a song that kind of takes it a little bit to a next level, you're kind of trying to connect on a smaller portion. But you know, running ads, making high quality, you know, visuals to accompany the music. You're right. If like you just make a joke that goes viral, they're not going to tie it back to the music. So we don't. We try to focus away from those like skit kind of stuff, which can be really really good for certain people. At least to like get people to check out the music. It's like always like, what's okay? Yeah, it's you went viral for not your music, but it's still better than not. You know what I mean? I tell them to always try to tie in the song we're promoting, somehow incorporate it
Mhm.
into that piece of content, or else, yeah, I agree with you. It's kind of pointless to just make a funny joke but then again, it still would be some people would go check out your music. I know I
I
do.
agree. I agree. I agree. Like you could have, there are a lot of artists that you follow for also for their wit, right? Like I love Blink 182. Every time they would do an interview for me, I would just watch it just because I know they're going to say something that's going to make me laugh, right? So it's a part of the journey too. I totally agree. It's just that I'm just talking about showing the KPIs to people that could sign you and help you develop your career. It's really hard to show that, right? It's like, okay, I have 10,000 followers, but the quality of my followers is way better than theirs, right? So sign me, right? You get my point. It's like, how do you convey that? And the only way to convey that is actually to show fan engagement, which is not something that you can clearly show on socials, I feel, because the amount of comments, like I had some videos that went viral. uh, like one of them, it was basically a huge debate. It was a Frank Zappa video, and the debate was capitalism versus communism. And it has really not much to do with what the video was about. Like Zappa was talking about video clips, right? But the stuff that made the video like explode is like people starting commenting like crazy. A lot of people in the States, by the way. And I was like, what's going on? And like thousands of comments. And so the engagement feels really intense, but it has nothing to do with what the video was about
With
at the
your
very beginning. And so I imagine, I don't just imagine, like a lot of artists tell us like that is very hard to actually say to, for example, a record label or to people that want to trust you, I don't know, to do a promo shoot, right? Or like a partnership, to say, no, it's actually out of these 10,000, we are pretty sure that 2,000 of them are actually real fans. That's why I believe that these fan engagement metrics should exist way more on music platforms, which is what I'm trying to build, right? But
yeah.
it should really exist because for you as a label, for artists, even for songwriters and publishers, right? That would be 10 times more efficient because you would be able to actually find people that have an audience. Then it's irrelevant if you like or not the music, but at least as a business, for example, where you can like, of course, help for legal fees, for touring, for a lot of things that as an individual you can't do, you would be able to spot way more efficiently what people are worth, basically. What do you think about this?
No, it makes sense. Going a little bit back to those kind of that content you make that maybe doesn't tie in. It's about being consistent, because you know what that shows to people in the industry is that you want to work and you're ready to do it, because nobody really stays. I can I can maybe name one band. I think the Moon Rocks, but even them, I'm not sure. Nobody stays independent once you cross a certain threshold. There becomes expenses that are pretty big. If like you're going on a world tour, it's millions of dollars up front to set things up. So it's you kind of got to play the game. Can you circle back to like what that question was?
It's like the fact that a business might be useful for you to develop your career makes perfect sense. It's more, how do you actually identify the talent? And as you said, hard work always beat talent, and sometimes you have both. That's like the holy grail. But
You need both. You
yeah,
need
you
it.
need, of course, but it's like, how do you after find a way to convey that right before takeoff, right? That little moment where it's still considered long tail, and then there would be label owners like you, or even just as a manager, for example, right? Or even a fan, right? How do you actually know that these resonate with people? And so it's fun because the metrics that are being followed by a label owner might be different to what a manager will check, might be different, very likely, to what fans will actually check. And so I'm fascinated by how these data could actually be better managed by artists or labels or fans to actually find the music they love and then get the result, the output, which is mind expanding experiences of like, oh my gosh, that song just changed my day. So, how did you find, for example, the band? So, you said Dallas, right? In
Yeah,
country music band, right?
in Nashville.
In Nashville. Oh, I was there just like a few months ago. So, it's Nashville. I'm really like
Very cool.
impressed by a live music scene, but like Nashville, I think is the mecca.
Broadway is nuts.
Broadway has,
You went on Broadway?
yeah.
Like 800 musicians playing all at once. It's psychotic.
But I
They
like,
don't get paid much too, but
oh yeah, but like for me, what was mind blowing, first of all, is all this live music, but the 6 lanes in the middle. This for me was really weird because I'm used to see a lot of like live venues, but you have a small street in between, right? Like in Paris or in London,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then here you have like a highway, and you have like massive like
It's
cars,
America, man.
and yeah, I was like, this is America. Like it was just like, where should we put the road? Right in the middle. Okay, good, good. Thank you.
No train system, just
This is
highways. That's
fucking
it. That's how you get
amazing.
around.
This is. I mean, anyhow, it's Nashville, but and loved it. So, how did you find this band, and how are you trying to develop them at the minute? For example, do you think that they have like the single that could be to the next level, and what are you doing to basically get there? So, from the moment you've never heard them to right now, can you run me through this? Like, how does it work in your head to organize all this?
Sure. So I found these two artists. They were already working with another label, and this guy. Don't really want to name names,
Doesn't matter.
but I don't think he wasn't. He was older, wasn't living, setting it to a good standard. Just some labels, all they do is literally distribute your music, and that was kind of the situation. So I kind of got them out of that situation because at one point this guy kind of was my. I was looking to him for advice. He had done some things in the industry, but that was a bit while ago. So took them over, and then from then, man, just again, man, it's all about the music. So trying to work with for Dallas, trying to work for producers. The band produces themselves. Just get them in a studio, um, find the sound. Once we have a good chunk of music, we kind of doing like a waterfall. I think the albums are kind of dead. So just single after single. That way, like I don't like to pander to Spotify too much, but right now that's kind of the world we're living in. And every time you release a single, you can pitch that song to an editorial playlist. But say you have an album, you can only choose one song to pitch. And those editorial playlists, are, I think, so crucial in the independent sphere, unfortunately, because it kind of gives you a little bit of that, not virality, but it could, depending on the size of the playlist. And it gives you like free streams, like along with the Discover Weekly radio. So we're trying to trigger, those 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 algorithms. And a new strategy I'm trying, these next couple of releases. I heard a Spotify exec talk about how it's much like it's a lot like an Instagram reel or post. The first 12 to 48
Hmm.
hours are really crucial for the algorithm to decide where to put you. So I think this next time, we do the pitch, we got the artwork. I'm going to Nashville to shoot visuals for the band. We shoot visuals here in Miami. Focusing on good high quality reels that capture attention, that relate back to the music. And then I think showcase and marquee ads on Spotify do pretty well. And just I'm gonna try hammering the whatever budget it is in the first 48 hours to kind of try to trigger that algorithmic motion. And that's worked a bit for the past couple of releases, but I haven't tied in everything together with the Facebook, Instagram ads along with the showcase, because we've just been a little late each time with visuals. Artists, some are a little more hands-on than others. So it kind of becomes trying to find the balance in the creative process.
Yeah, fair.
But
Just
yeah, I think jamming it in those first 48 hours to try to boost the Discover Weekly and stuff, and just good ads. But like you said, yeah, we're competing with freaking Allstate, like
yeah,
insurance ads and Bacardi, and
yeah,
it's
which
tough,
is
man.
tough. Yeah.
So would your platform have like that social media component where
Oh, nice
they
plug.
can post?
It
Got you.
my platform. So I don't want to sell too much, but it first of all, it would be
No,
real
I'm super interested in it.
organic.
So
We could talk about it. Like it will be real organic discovery. So it's gonna change the way that you see marketing at the moment. So as you said, Spotify is the world we live in at the minute, but it's it can be enhanced in a lot of different ways. Before I tell you about why I think it will be way fairer, my point is to be fairer, right? Because if it's fairer, then the ecosystem is healthier and then it grows,
amen.
right? So, but before I go on this, just you were talking about playlists and editorial services. Like, can you? A lot of people that every time I post an episode of this, I receive like so many DMs with people telling me like tell them to name the tools they are using, right, or the people that are talking to. So as I explain all the time, the people is a bit difficult, right? But for example, do you have some tools that you're using to
Yeah.
pitch?
Yeah. So starting from you upload it to distro, you go into the campaign and select the pitch.
How do
So I
you
use
so just to even from this, right? So you're the label, so you have a distributor. Who's your distributor? Can you share that?
uh nice, yeah, of course I'll plug them in. CWE Distro, they're out of Atlanta. My friend kind of created the company, since got bought out, but they're still, I like what they do. They're on point, and so yeah, I use CWE Distro,
Get it.
distribution.com. They're good.
Are
30
they
bucks a year.
a distributor under Fuga? Are they not like
Uh,
be indexed by Fuga? Anyhow, that's too nerdy.
I'm not
So
sure. I'm not sure.
so
Maybe.
you have a distributor.
Maybe.
So thanks to them, you basically use their built-in service to pitch, basically, right? So literally,
Yeah,
you
it's 30
I'm
bucks
trying
a
to
year,
be
and you can
yeah.
upload as much songs
So
as you
you
want. They
arrive
put it on all the platforms.
yeah. So I break it down on purpose, very like
Sure, sure.
detailed, just because it's going to be creative after to answer your question about why I think we could do things differently. But you literally you have your FLAC file on or MP3 file. You click, you go on CW, you pay your 30 a year, you upload that file, and then you have a list of like 4 files because that's the 4 whatever singles that you want to release. You have a button, pitch, right? Or how does it work
No,
exactly?
so there you just add on the CWE website or the distributor website, like CD Baby,
Hmm.
DistroKid, whatever. Basically, you add the information of the song, like what part of the song do you want it to be highlighted in when people put the music on Instagram
Hmm.
stories. You know what I mean? Like, um, as far as like who the label is, who produced the song, um,
So all the metadata,
who did the engineering. You can add all that stuff, all that info.
and then normally you have like your pitch info, right? To be like maybe
No,
like a little.
then after a couple days, it should be uploaded into your campaign on Spotify, and then from there you do the pitch. You do it directly on Spotify for artists.
And you do it on Spotify for artists. This is great
Yeah.
because we're gonna go. So, for example, why don't you try to do it also on Apple Music or on another DSP?
They don't have that feature.
No, no, like you don't have the feature like on the platform itself, but you have a lot of playlist pitching services, right? Or you can use things like Unheard, where you would actually be able to, the same way a distributor is going to post your song everywhere, you would have the ability to pitch to editorial playlists like from different DSPs. Is there a reason why specifically Spotify?
Um, I just kind of the biggest user platform right now.
Get it?
Um, yeah,
Okay.
just
So,
what a, yeah.
okay. So, which is totally fine. It's a part of strategy. The one of the example here is that, as you can see, like everything is blend in the same platform, right? Because the distributor that you're using at the moment, they just move files, right? It's like a big Dropbox, right? But then if you would have like a bigger distributor, for example, or you would be affiliated with a big label, like they would have, big label or music industry entity, right? They would have actually way more power to have their music being pitched, right? Why? Because a lot of time they actually pre-filter the song themselves because they have enough resources to actually have people in-house that will check the songs, but also because contractually they would have more advantages because that's a part of the deal of like, hey, I distribute all my songs because I already have a huge catalog, but in exchange I need to be sure that a lot of the artists that signed with me will be on your playlist, right? And I was just
Mhm.
like, okay, cool, why not? And then you arrive and you do what makes sense, right? You arrive and say, okay, this is Spotify is a place where you have the most users, so it makes sense that I pitch it there because then a lot of people will hear my song. And you already know that the streaming royalties you're going to make are very low, borderline inexistent. The hope is that people hear your song and that they think about either going on socials to actually start having a direct to consumer correlation, or that directly Google you and they actually buy a ticket, which is where actually you make most of the money. Some people have a lot of ways to make it, but like high level. Here, the issue for me is that Spotify is not incentivized to make you pop, like specifically Federico, right? And I think that's inherently unfair. So they will do from time to time randomly. You would have people that again are not on their radar because of like a normal label size and so on, and suddenly the song will just pop, right? But if you make the stats, it's not a lot, right? Most of the time, you need to be signed with a big entity to make this happen. Why? Because a lot of the money that Spotify makes is actually because of the type of deals that they signed with rights holders. And one of
Yeah,
the
I
things
mean,
that I'm doing
the
is
three
changing
majors
that.
own Spotify essentially.
So they don't. Again, I'm trying to put like disclaimer because now I'm a startup founder, so I need to be careful legally. But they don't own them, like technically,
A
right?
little bit. They have some pieces.
Some of them sold it, some of them kept a bit of it, right? But the not enough to basically have a board seat, right? And you'd be like,
Mhm.
now we're gonna do this, we're gonna
You
put us
sure?
our music. I'm 100% sure, trust me.
Okay,
I'm like,
I'll take
oh,
your word
just
for
I
it.
would love it. Like that would be way easier for me to say, well, they own it, it's totally fraudulent. No, it's not. So at the pure legal sense of things, right? Like when you talk about the ownership of the company, they don't have shares that it would enable them to change that. But what they have
They
though
have
is
influence.
they have the influence, exactly, and that influence very specifically is yielded with the licensing contract that they have. You saw that TikTok and Universal had some kind of a beef, right? Universal say, we know what, we withdraw everything. TikTok was like, bet, right? And then
Yeah.
Universal comes back, and Taylor Swift was just like, well, you know what? I disagree with Universal, even if normally she should actually follow up what Universal is doing because she signed with them. And she's like, no, she has distribution power. So she comes back, and at the end, Universal caves. Take the same situation with Spotify, and it starts becoming way more contentious, right? Because if right now you remove, like, I don't know, two big Universal artists, right, like Drake and Taylor Swift, they disappear from Spotify right now. Now you have a huge issue if you're Spotify, right? Because your user base is here just for music. So you're way more valuable for artists because artists will make more money out of streaming royalties that they would ever do on TikTok, even if it's still nothing, like it's nothing versus a bit less than nothing. But the power that indeed big labels have over the DSPs like Spotify is tremendous. One of the things that causes that is the kind of royalty model that they implemented with them. It's called prorata, which is basically depending on the usage of other people. Sometimes your own money as a fan is going to be sent to other people, to other artists that you've never streamed.
Right.
The model that I designed, for example, and that I signed with a lot of rights holders around the world is actually user centric. That means that your money as a fan is only going to the artist that you stream, which means that now, to go back to the discussion that we had about the type of KPI that matter, it doesn't matter if you have only 1,000 people streaming you, because if these people are real fans and they actually stream your music 50% of the time, well, 1,000 times 10, 10,000 divided by 2, 5,000, you're making 5,000 a month. Of course, imagining as you have publishing and recording, right? But that's one of the big thing of like, I would be theoretically the only one able to show you that at the business level, my incentive is not to appease a few label owners that basically could threaten me to withdraw their music, but it's to actually create an ecosystem that is fairer so that all the label owners and artists and DIY, right? I make no discrimination. I'm agnostic actually, can actually thrive on that platform. That's one of the things I'm trying to push.
Yeah, it's unbalanced. Um,
Yep.
but it's also kind of the way the music industry has always been, and it hasn't been till recently where everyone gets a chance. I think Daniel Elk, got a lot of crap when he said the cost of content is
Hmm.
free. He like opened up that statement. Um, he's wrong. He obviously doesn't know, what it takes on certain levels because, we're not using programmed drums. He doesn't understand what it's like to fucking record a drum set. It's not just, people on Ableton hitting buttons. So it depends, man. I'm worried about the future quality of music. Especially with a bunch of these AI artists and stuff. But back to what you said, they'll never gonna have serious engagement. And on the marketing standpoint, from our end, those reels and that content really isn't to the goal isn't to just go viral, but it's to build. If we get a couple fans that day from one reel, even though it took a long time, that's a win. It's a
Yeah,
win. It's
that's
about building that core fan base. That's
That's
the most
exactly
important
my
part.
point. Yeah, 100%. Like you need to create your music, then you need to find a way to be noticed, and then you need to nurture that. And that's I always like as you saw, like the discussion always like evolves in the same ways. That for me now, what one of the big topic that I have is that how do you nurture that? How do you nurture fan engagement? At the moment, do you have some special tricks, or like some people have a Patreon, some people have a Discord channel, some people DM fans from
Go
time to time? What do you do?
go play shows. Get in
So
front of them
live, yeah, live.
live.
But
So
no, yeah,
Dallas plays on Broadway. He's out there 4 or 5, and that's a different outlier. That's more of a job, but it's a stepping stone, and you still will get 4 to 5 to 10 followers. An evening when he plays there, and the band has more. Specific shows for them, and the fan base they've cultivated in South Florida is very strong. You know, you'll see at their show hundreds of people really care and really like them because they're great performers. And there's no other place where you can showcase your personality at the same time as your music. And and for me, that's why I do have an issue, especially as a studio owner. Like a lot of people are making music in their closet. You know, business isn't as good as it was, 10 years ago. I didn't have a studio 10 years ago, but I know that for a fact. Just because the technology, has let people make, bedroom music, but then those people are just treating it like content creators where they're putting out their content, but they don't want to go out into the world and be an artist. So it's giving the opportunity for people that shouldn't be famous artists or you know do that. And I'm not sure if that's a good thing or bad thing because it's becoming oversaturated. You need to have a certain personality, have a certain ego, without being an ass. It takes a certain type of character to go out there, play in front of thousands of people,
Hmm.
do the autographs, do the pictures, live that. And a lot of people are going to get thrown into this limelight because they're good musicians, but that used to just be a producer 20 years ago. You're making good music, you're making good money, but now people without the wrong mentality are going to get a little too quick, and it's going to be interesting to see. It's
I
getting
agree.
it's getting too oversaturated. I wish there was a little more gatekeeping, but then again, that's not fair because you know a good song should triumph every time. You wrote a song that's fluctuating the airwaves and going around and being shared because it's great. That's one of the rarest things on earth. To truly have a song that is universally accepted and loved. So
Hmm.
you deserve your flowers if you're able to do that. But it's going to be a weird mixture of different types of people that become famous. Like you said with the Hawk Tuah girl, she doesn't relate to music, but weird people are getting famous that would have never been famous, before the internet or before social media. Social media, especially because the internet was one thing, but now everyone's recording on their phone. They can capture a crazy moment, and it just takes 1 second. But we believe in just kind of working hard, making good music, creating a fan base, not at a wide scape level because we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollar budgets. That's just not a hole I want to sink myself in.
Wait a
So yeah,
minute.
it's
I
about
thought that all the label owners were multi-billionaires that could throw money and do everything they want. That this is brand new to me. Like,
yeah, yeah.
are you for real? No, just to come back
Yeah,
on
man.
the when you when you I always love that because at the a lot of time when I talk to artists, and again, I'm a singer songwriter myself. I never released music because when I was going to, I discovered that the music industry was fucked up in my opinion, and so I decided to build something because I'm also an engineer. But otherwise, I can't wait the day that I'll be able to actually release music. But I indeed had that like kind of idea of like label owners, like they're all like a bit greedy, right? And it's business, and so it's not good. And then I met like I think like the first 10 labels I met, like everyone was like tears and blood trying to support their artists, like the most genuine, like disinterested apart in the success of their band people that I've met, right? Like really good people. And so of course you have a bit of everything in the ecosystem, like in every industry. But that's also one of the reasons that I tell artists and everyone in the music industry that, well, music industry people do it already, but I tell everyone that talking about business and money is actually a good thing, unless it's just about, oh, I got millions and I'm like a big deal. But if you talk about what legal documents means, if you talk about how you could reinvest in yourself, if you talk about how you do a marketing campaign, all these things, I think is extremely valuable because otherwise you constantly delegate these discussions to other people, which means that you raise the amount of risks that you take with yourself. But just to go back to the notion of fan engagement, your answer is go out there and play, which makes perfect sense, right? But can you do more? Because, for example, if you go out there and play, right, let's imagine you do it, whatever, twice a week. Imagine you do 2 concerts a week right now, and you have, I don't know, less than 10,000 fans that follow your music. That's already really good, right? Imagine you're signed with So
Mhm.
Far Sound, right? And you're able to make 2 gigs a week. The rest of the time, what else could you do, right? So I have my own idea about this, but like, have you brainstormed with your artists already the kind of things that they could also do to maintain that engagement? Because, for example, just live music means that you cannot engage with people that don't live in the same location, right? So have you tried ways to different ways to engage in the digital world and in the physical world? I give example: digital world, I don't know, some behind the scene videos, right? Or some the ability to access the stems of our last single. And in the physical world, it would be a meet and greet, or it would be at a show, for example. You can decide what's the first song I'm going to play to open my show. Have you tried these kind of perks that could engage the fan base a bit more? And do you think that even matters, by the way?
Definitely. Um,
Yes.
Kind of also just goes back to who your artist is. There isn't just an umbrella, checklist for everybody. Some people are more reserved. Some people, you can't really be as an artist. But anyway, it can start from just responding to a comment
Hmm.
on Instagram. That's a solid like foundation point. Respond to everyone that's sharing your music or commenting on it. Showing gratitude goes a long way. Um, we do some like merch deals too. I think to get people's hands on the stuff when they play, where it's like we'll hook it up for people that we see a lot. To kind of keep them more.
Engaged.
They're showing some love back goes
Yep.
so really should, because people like, depending on your level or not, you're gonna have that fan base that looks at you like, not like you're the Rolling Stones, but they respect, they love you, and showing love back to that core group, because those first 1,500 people are gonna be the most important people in your career, I think, because that's how it kind of starts. You have 500, then you have 1,000, and then so on and so forth. But who's really propelling that? Is it the marketing, or is it these people that really care? So if you can get those first 500 people to really care, music is the most shared thing in existence. Like in high school, you felt like the coolest guy ever when you found like a cool new song and you were sharing it with everybody. So kind of tapping into that, man, tapping into your network, ask them to share it. Don't be
Hmm.
afraid to ask. Like a lot of people don't know, or like repost your music. They don't tag you. It's fine. You don't come out with an abrasive, attitude. You just, hey, be, directly. Don't just post it on your story. Hey, please share this. No, go in, say, hey, Alexa, or hey, or that's a bad example, not the Amazon thing. Hey, David. Hey, Ben. I really appreciate. We worked hard on this. Thanks for being a fan. We really appreciate if you shared it around. Like, get into the DMs, get into text,
Mm.
and ask. And ask and you shall receive,
I
as
Yeah, yeah. Amen.
as they say.
No, I fully align with this, and uh, everyone is saying it. Like, you can like cook the best food, paint the best painting, make the best music. If no one hears about you, it's pretty useless. Van Gogh used to pay for meals with his paintings. No one knew what it was. So I agree with that, and I also agree that it's difficult. A lot of artists tell me that it's difficult for them to ask for people, like, to help them being noticed. And what I tell them is that, well, you
Too bad.
choose, yeah, yeah, you chose to try to make money in the entertainment industry, which is the economy of attention. So if you're not willing to try to get the attention of people, and you think art is self-sustainable, just go in any museum in the world, take a look at the paintings, and imagine, for one painting you see here, how many other have been painted, how many other Van Gogh were potentially out there, right? And at some point, someone found the guy, found his artwork, and we're just like, but actually, this is amazing. And that was marketed. But before that, for like years, like no one has never heard about that guy. And now the paintings go for several millions. So it's the economy of attention. But a lot of time, I think people, uh, I understand, have a hard time to grasp with it. For example, I'm not a great social media user. And the fact that now I need to be myself, like I need to play the dancing monkey on social media to promote what I'm building is excruciating. Like I don't, I have this kind of
And
weird stuff
I
of like
respect
where,
that.
you know what I mean?
I respect it. So I started me and my one of my partners, Gianmarco. We started a page kind of for the rock band with that in mind, and we grew it to 220,000 followers right now, just in 1 year. And
Wow.
we're just, but it's different from what you're doing. So I respect what you're doing a lot more, and once you grow the page, it'll take you longer, but you're building much more value than we're doing. And I'm still trying to bridge the gap because what I'm doing is taking old moments in rock and roll, whether it's interviews, performances, stories, and kind of cutting that into a
Hmm.
reel. And it's worked really well. But I'm still trying to structure how I can build a community around it. We have like 11 um, reels that went over a million. One hit 10 million. Uh, but I still got to cultivate a community.
Yep.
Kind of goes back to the audience because right now I'm just a faceless person. What are you doing? You're becoming a face that's combative with the BS in the music industry right now. And the more you do it, the more you stay consistent, the better
But
it'll
like,
be. And I think you striking a balance between what I'm doing and like why won't you post like a famous like Mick Jagger? There's a video of him complaining about streaming that could work on your page as well to
I
kind of
did,
help.
I
Yeah,
used to have
there you go.
some,
You're on top
some
of it, bro.
clips.
What am I telling you for?
No, 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 no. Oh, please. I'm literally playing a lot on the fact that I'm a rookie marketer. It's just that now, like I spend a lot of time on the podcast, and so everything seems to be podcast. But we are going to rebalance that soon. But to, I really, just putting my face out there for me is really weird because I'm like this weird French blonde guy living in London, right? And
It's gonna
I
be weird
know
for
it.
me too when I see it.
It's like indeed you're just like, and so I play with it's like literally. You made me think about something like to give an idea why I decided to call myself with my group of friends like the rookie marketer and like dancing monkey is I saw like a video of like people explaining that the quantity really matters nowadays on short form content, right? So you need to post once a day, and I was just like I saw several influencers like talking about this, and I'm an IT guy, so I'm like, yeah, it makes sense. The algorithm would pick that up. I said, okay. I started doing it, and now it's been like several months already. But at some point on YouTube, for whatever reason, for like maybe 2 weeks, I have no views, and I'm like, what the hell? Like I've been like mini shadow banned,
Like
like on
shorts,
TikTok
shorts
or
are
whatever, shorts, and I'm like, what the hell am I doing? What
dude,
did I do
shorts
wrong?
are weird.
Hold
Shorts are
on,
weird.
wait. This was totally my fault, like 100% my fault. But I'm like, I'm a bit frustrated. Where I'm just like, what the hell? And I keep on posting every day. I'm just like, you know what? Fuck it. Like I'm doing something wrong, but I'm gonna try to find one. I change the captions. I change the music in the background. I change like the light. I'm just like, what the hell? Like I see a lot of content, and then so it's a very shameful moment. I just realized that I was publishing all my videos in private, right? And so but for whatever reason, because up until that moment I was using a scheduler to post everything online, so it was by default in
And it was
public,
doing it.
and then I used the app and I didn't realize that the default stuff was in private. What a moron, right?
Eh,
That's why
happens.
rookie marketer, that's just like for me, that's like it's the scar tissue that I have. But I understand like you have so many more things to think about when you think about content marketing, right? Then if you would focus on your music, and you cannot spend time doing both. If you do both you need more resources, thus people helping you, which is why like the
That's
rookie
so that's
marketing.
what That's what kind of my label does that I think separates us just a little bit from the rest of independent labels. Um, I'm seeing like a lot of this independent labels kind of leave the content and at least the ad creation more in the hands of the musicians. And like there'll be, I think his name's Danny Racco or something. He's gone viral a couple times. He's a music manager. He has a video where he's training to in the gym to be a music manager, and it's him just picking up the phone. Did you make a TikTok today? Did you make a TikTok today? And it's
Uh-huh.
like that's really all we can do. But like, so we help draft the content. We have a video production room as well where we make the content. Dude, I just don't see a universe right now that there's a better place to put the majority of your energy in after the music has been nailed, you're happy with it, you think it has potential. um then what? I mean, apart from the pitching, unheard, you run ads. That's just the best way. You can do some, for some shows. We've had some success doing some, guerrilla marketing, so to speak, which i.e. just, getting in the street. We went on a small tour in 2023, early 2023 or late 2022 with the band, and we were in New York. We played in the Bowery, and we didn't just go sightseeing. We had a stack of flyers and passed around all New York City and filled up that room. You got to think outside the box, and I've been trying to think more on how I can do something uh, kind of outside of the box that can kind of create a social discussion about you know the content you create, because it's kind of hard nowadays to make music that's going to be controversial. It's about making a good melody and a good song with good meaning.
Hmm.
But like for example, like you saw, there's bands that will get like a flat truck bed and go play in the streets. You got to think outside the box sometimes.
Yeah, I saw
Dude,
a band. They did they shot a video clip, and it was purely portrait mode. Right, so it was just for short form content, and you could see it. You could see that it's not a landscape video that was
mhm.
edited. Right, you could see that it was really made for that, and I thought that was original. There are so many things. One of the things that I'm trying to push is indeed the fact that it makes sense that you need to ignite something at some point. But then I feel like you should be able to tease people a bit to engage in your community. So, for example, instead of posting 7 days a week on TikTok, you would keep one day, one video behind maybe not a paywall, but a place where only your community accesses, right? Which means that now you can actually find a way to sort out who is more engaged. Because again, on all these social platforms, and even on Spotify and so on, like you have discovery mode and so on, a lot of the consumption is passive, which means that it's not people that will buy concert ticket. But if you manage to crack that fan engagement, then you have someone like Russ, for example, that is actually able to stay fully independent and have a way to connect with his fan. Like, I mean, the guy works. Like you could see, like a Discord channel, live streams, everything is made to not only be noticeable when you release music or when you're on tour, but also aside. For example, on his Twitter account, his X account, his that doesn't sound right. Also, his X account. Anyhow, on the
Oh my
media
gosh.
platform, he's posting about a lot of stuff, right? And that, so this, for example, there is no paywall at all. But if you want to know what's up, you have to subscribe, right? Or you have to subscribe. You have to
It's
follow
a
him, right?
it's a it's a only bands.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. The concept of having streaming and direct to consumer. The fact that as an artist you start building this, and I agree with you. Like the fact that, for example, you have 1,000 people streaming you on a music platform, and you could have 10 that are just very excited to have a town hall every month, right? Or every week where you give like for 20 minutes just your news. I think that's something to actually not disregard. And I think that
I
again,
like
all
that.
these
Like you go
cineastic,
live, you can just go live
yeah,
for 10 minutes on a Sunday,
we
and
have
people that
artists,
care will show up.
yeah,
And
yeah,
Instagram has that like subscriber feature, but on the independent level, it's good to do. It's like there's nothing bad you can do. Like, will it change your trajectory of your career? Maybe not, but just keep trying things. That's
okay,
that's our motto at Archive, and it's been hard to kind of get our artists to see that honestly. Like, stop caring about what you're doing. Like, obviously, no one's asking you to do some bullshit TikTok dance, but like you got to care a lot less and you have to try more things because you don't know what's going to work. Just keep trying
yeah.
things.
But
And
again,
but on
what's
that smaller scale, yeah, that subscribers isn't going to change it. That's why I think, the majority of anyone's effort should be on making good, no, making great music. If you don't
agreed.
have that, you're gonna waste time and money. Everything else you should be doing, you should do it. What you said, the ads, the reels, consistently.
Yeah,
Like, for me, if I were to give a band advice starting from zero, don't play shows, don't be on social media yet until you have a big body of work
oh
ready to
yeah.
go that is good. And then when you start, don't stop.
You need
Stay
a
consistent.
foundation. You need like a backbone that represents
A
who you are,
musical
and then you
foundation.
just build around. I agree. A lot of the artists we talk to, like some of them have very like creative ways that literally cost them nothing to actually give back to their fan base. There is a guy in LA. His fans love to see him recording in the booth, right? Because it's the relatability, right? They see him spitting bars, right? He's a rapper and failing over and over and over again until he gets it. And so when he's there, he's like, blah, 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 he does stuff and he fucks it up and he looks, and it's literally just like an Instagram live, right? And he's like, fuck, right? And he tries again. And people love that because they're just like, oh my gosh, it's like we're in the
It's
booth.
authentic.
It's authentic. Another one has a dance challenge where when he would write a music, like he would do some kind of dance, and then if some fans like do it well, like he will repost them on social media. Someone from Nigeria. So you have so many creative ways to stay engaged at absolutely no cost, and I mean money and time for people. The only issue that I see at the moment with what exists is that the only way to do this, the only platforms existing to do this are the social media platforms, which means that when you do this, when you sing in your booth, you're competing against the guy that is doing a food review
Everybody else.
and
Yeah.
someone doing ASMR. But for me, it would make way more sense to have this on the platform that you can stream music in, which is exactly what I'm building. It's like you would have literally the ability to stream someone, and then they say like, by the way, going live in 2 minutes because I'm actually gonna record in the booth. And you're like, wait, what's going on? You could be in India, Shanghai, Miami, and the guy is based in Madrid, and suddenly you're just tripping on the music, and then you're just like, oh, this is happening. Or you don't know what music to listen to, and you want to actually find out through who is engaging with their community, and you will discover it this way. The
I
example I
can't wait
give.
to sign up for Listen. I'm going to be one of your first customers.
Ah, nice. Let's go. The I yeah. I want to stop on that because otherwise, like, I'm going to sound too much like a sellout. But I believe that again, whether we do it or someone else does it, but I believe this would be the best way to grow the music ecosystem because in gaming they figured it out already. Like it's so easy to be a fan in gaming. You could like watch people play, you could play yourself, you could play with
Personality,
them,
man.
you could tip them. You know what I mean? Everything is on the same platform. It's very easy to play, watch someone play, tip them, buy their merch. Everything is in the same place. In music, you need to download 5 apps,
Go
subscribe
to
to 5 different
PayPal
accounts,
or, yeah. Yeah, yeah.
PayPal me a DM from some. And so I truly hope that we're gonna find a way to crack this because music, in my opinion, could actually be one of the biggest creative industry. And now it's behind video, it's behind gaming, behind everything else, because it's too complicated to be a fan in music. I truly believe we have to crack it, and that's what I'm gonna try to do. But that's a great way to actually
Stop giving out too much of your secret sauce, man.
listen.
You have some competition.
we'll work on it definitely. The last, it's a great way to have the question that I love asking at the end of this episode. It's like, right now, you know what it means to create music, to produce music, to go live, to manage people. So you have a nice view about the whole ecosystem and what it takes to actually make it. What do you think is missing? What would be a tool, a service, or a person right now that you would be missing that would actually help you make your band a success, for example, or help you be more efficient? Not something high level like marketing, right? But specifically something right now is very time consuming for you or excruciating to do, or your bands.
Uh, I think more community within musicians. Like it's seen a lot. Like I know, like local bands, they might be friendly, but there's a lot of like internal, competition. And it's kind of weird to play it the way corporations do when we're making art. So I have an art gallery as well here, and I found in the artistic community they do a way like a bunch of Miami local artists. They work with each other, give each other work. Our friends hang out outside much more than what the musicians do. And yeah, I think
Interesting.
more community within that because there's also resources that could be pulled. I wish I saw more support from musicians to musicians, independent label to independent label, and maybe I'll start a community event here at the gallery in space. From the we'll put sponsored by Lissen and
Well
and
done.
get it going.
It's
But
so
yeah,
you think
community, more community.
more community,
Maybe an
like trying
app
to.
or a website that kind of brings people together and
Hmm.
you can elevate the music, elevate each other's fan bases, coordinate shows.
You're gonna love Listen. I can't
Yeah,
tell you like in detail,
you
but
got
like
it all. You got this is all in there.
this is not all, but soon we're in touch. I will tell you about it after the podcast. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think that looking for synergies, right, and collaborations is something that a lot of other business do better. But I think the way the music ecosystem is built right now is what prevents it from happening. And that the ecosystem we should thrive for is this one where synergies are not seen as a sign of weakness, for example. As you said, just
Weird,
pooling resources. For example, I
weird.
have an amazing producer, but I don't want to let you know because otherwise you will sound just like me. Well, yes and no. It's a bit like someone that has a startup idea and that is like, if I tell anyone, they will steal my idea and build it before me. Well, statistically, that doesn't happen that often. And so, how do we create this environment where this is safer and people understand that the looking for synergies is way more efficient than trying to silo everything? I kind of like the concept of a super band. You've seen like artists that are making it themselves, right? And then I think Boy Genius did this. They all had an independent career before, and then they met up. They liked each other, and they started to actually making music together, and they became bigger as a band than they were independently. That kind of mindset, it's extremely difficult to put in place, but I think with better tools we could actually foster that kind of mindset, and I hope
Yeah,
that we'll
that,
be able
that
to do it.
that typically only works in like certain genres, right? But yeah, you're right.
Think about
It
it
would
like
depend. It could be a
Eminem.
duo. Yeah.
Yeah, rap stuff, like you had a lot of bands with in rap sector. I didn't see a
Or
lot
just
in
even it
rock.
doesn't have to be like it doesn't have to be okay, we're together now, but you could just do songs together,
Yeah,
or it doesn't have to. It could be project based.
let's strive for a world with more synergies and collaboration. That's a nice way to end this.
Peace and love, baby.
Federico, thanks a lot, and we can proceed to
Thanks, man.
what Archive Records is going to pull out. Cheers, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man.